While most companies are busy chasing the next quick sale, the most profitable businesses are building something else entirely, a ladder. Now this ladder, it's the secret system that quietly builds seven-figure funnels. And you know, it works because of a paradox that most businesses just completely miss. Real, sustainable growth doesn't come from constantly finding new customers, but from elevating the ones you already have.
So, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on that exact system. It's called the value ladder, and it is the secret architecture behind some of the most successful online businesses out there. We're going to dive into how they ditch the simple, one-off sales model to build predictable, scalable, seven-figure revenue engines, all by focusing on just one thing: the customer's journey.
All right, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll get into the big idea behind this whole seven-figure ladder thing. Then we've got to talk about the customer acquisition crisis that made this model an absolute necessity. From there, we'll break down the 4 critical rungs of the ladder, piece by piece. We'll look at the powerful psychology that makes it all work so well, lay out a blueprint for you to design your own, and finally, we'll tie it all together with the core insight that makes success the only logical next step for your customers.
So where do we start? Well, it begins with a huge shift in how you think about sales. You know, the traditional sales funnel, when you really stop and think about it, it's kind of pessimistic, right? It just accepts that most people are going to drop off, and it throws all its energy into closing that one first sale. The value ladder, it just flips that whole idea on its head. The core idea here is that real growth doesn't come from shoving more people into a leaky funnel, it comes from keeping and elevating the customers who've already put their trust in you.
And this right here, this is the crucial shift in mindset. You've got to stop looking at a customer as just a one-time transaction, a sale you have to make, and start seeing them as a growing financial asset. Every single customer represents a potential stream of future income. But, and this is a big but, only if you give them a clear and valuable path to follow. This isn't just playing with words. It's completely re-engineering your business around long-term relationships instead of short-term wins.
Now this model, it didn't just appear out of thin air. No, it was born out of a crisis, really. And to get why the value ladder is so powerful, you have to understand the problem it was built to solve. The fact that the old way of getting customers online is just broken.
The simple truth is this. Over the last 10 years or so, the price you pay to get one new customer online, what we call CAC or customer acquisition cost, it's just gone through the roof. Ad platforms are jam-packed, the competition is brutal, and people's attention is scattered everywhere. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, you might have gotten a customer from a Facebook ad for a few bucks. Now, in some industries, that same customer can cost you hundreds. The old way of doing things, just spending a ton on ads to sell one thing to someone who's never heard of you? Yeah, that just doesn't work anymore. The ad spend was eating all the profit before anyone even clicked buy.
So what do? Well, the only real solution was to change the game completely. Instead of being obsessed with how much you make on that first sale, the really smart businesses started focusing on something called customer lifetime value, or LTV. That's the total profit you can expect to make from a single customer over your entire relationship. The value ladder is an engine built for one thing and one thing only, cranking that LTV number as high as it can possibly go.
And here is the big aha moment that makes this whole thing click. Trust is built step by step. I mean, you wouldn't walk up to a complete stranger and ask for $1,000, would you? Of course not. Business is exactly the same. Asking for a huge, high-ticket sale from someone who doesn't know you is just a losing battle. The value ladder works because it systematically tears down that skepticism by building trust in layers. A customer who has an amazing experience with your $97 product, they're not just willing, they're often excited to hear about your $5,000 package. You've earned that conversation.
Okay, so we get the why now, right? We see the problem that forced this whole system into existence. So now, let's pop the hood and look at the how. We're going to break down the 4 critical components, the rungs on this ladder, that make up the blueprint of any successful value ladder. And each one has a very specific job to do. And what's so cool about this is the journey itself, how it all flows. It's all set up to feel totally natural and genuinely helpful for the customer. We kick things off with some bait to grab their attention. Then we move to a front-end offer to turn them from a browser into a buyer. After that, we present the core offer to solve their big problem. And finally, for a select few, there's the profit maximizer. It all leads so seamlessly from one thing to the next. It's almost like an irresistible climb.
Okay, first up, the bait. This is all about starting things off by giving something valuable away for free. We're talking about a super helpful guide, a checklist, a webinar, something that solves a real, nagging little problem for your ideal customer. And all it costs them is their email address. That's it.
Its only job is to get them to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested, and give you the green light to keep talking to them by providing real value up front.
All right, rung number 2, the front-end offer. Now this might just be the most important psychological move in the whole system. This is a low-cost, high-value, no-brainer offer, sometimes called a tripwire. And honestly, its main goal isn't even to make money. Nope, the goal is to create this huge shift in their mind, because the second someone pulls out their credit card and pays you, even if it's just a few bucks, everything changes. They're not just a lead anymore, they're a customer.
Okay, now, this is where the real magic comes in. This front-end offer is specifically designed to be what's known as a self-liquidating offer, or SLO. The whole point is that the money you make from this cheap little product, it pays for the ads it took to get the customer in the first place. I mean, just stop and think about that. If it costs you $10 in ads to get a sale and they buy your $10 product, you just got a paying customer for free. This is the secret to scaling your business, like to the moon.
So once you've built that initial trust, and once your ad costs are covered, now is the time to introduce your core offer. This is your main thing, your signature product or service. It's the big solution you're known for, the thing that really solves your customer's primary problem. And because they've already had a great small experience with you, they're so much more open to hearing about this bigger offer. You're not some stranger asking for a big check anymore. You're a trusted guide showing them the next step.
And then, at the very top of the ladder, we have the Profit Maximizer. This is your high-end premium stuff. Think one-on-one coaching, exclusive masterminds, we'll do it all for you services. Now look, only a handful of customers will ever get here. But this is where the crazy 7-figure revenue actually comes from. All that money from your SLO pays for your growth, and this is where you cash in. It's pure profit.
Okay, so we've got the nuts and bolts down, but what makes it work so well? The structure is smart, for sure, but it's only effective because it taps into some really deep, fundamental human psychology. So let's look at the invisible forces that make climbing this ladder feel so natural for the customer.
The whole thing really hangs on this incredibly powerful idea from Dr. Robert Cialdini called commitment and consistency. Here's the gist. Once we make a decision, even a small one, we feel this powerful internal pull to stick with it and act in ways that are consistent with that decision. The ladder is basically a machine for generating a series of small yeses, yes to the free guide, yes to the tripwire, that build an identity for the customer as someone who trusts you. The bigger purchase just feels like the next logical thing to do.
And that, right there, is the huge difference in approach. A traditional funnel is all about pushing someone toward this big, scary, all-or-nothing decision. The value ladder is different. It pulls them toward more and more value. It breaks down all that skepticism by creating these small, safe, successful steps. Every yes builds on the last one, making the whole process feel safe, logical, and totally driven by them.
There's another cool psychological trick at play here too, called the anchoring effect. Just by showing people that super high-ticket profit maximizer, even though most will never buy it, you set a price anchor in their mind. So, when they see a $10,000 offer, suddenly your $997 core offer looks like an absolute steal, right? It just makes the core offer seem like the most logical and smartest choice.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually build one? Let's get practical. Let's turn this from a concept into an actual framework you can use, because there are a few rules you just can't break if you want this to work. All right, there are 3 absolute must-dos. First, you have to engineer the bridge. That means your front-end offer must be a self-liquidating offer that covers your ad spend. It's non-negotiable if you want to scale. Second, you have to design for incremental transformation. Every single step up has to be a huge leap in value. And third, you need to create natural upgrade triggers. This is about using data to offer the next step at the perfect time, when it feels helpful, not salesy. Like when a software user is about to hit their limit, that's the perfect time to offer an upgrade. So, how much more value are we talking about? Well, there's actually a rule of thumb for this. Each new step on the ladder should feel like it delivers at least 2 or even 3 times the value of the one before it. The price jump has to feel like a total no-brainer compared to the massive upgrade in results or support they're about to get. Okay, let's wrap this all up with the single most important idea behind this whole system. When you strip away all the tactics, all the funnels, and the psychology, you're left with one simple, really powerful truth at the heart of the value ladder. At the end of the day, the value ladder works because it's not just effective, it's also ethical. It perfectly aligns your success with your customer's success. You're not just making sales, you're guiding them on a journey. You meet them where they are, you solve a small problem, you earn their trust,
and then you show them the path to the next level of what they want to achieve. Because when you build your ladder the right way, your profit is just a natural result of their progress. Their success, well, it becomes the only logical next step.